gypsy soul. I'm a rebel and rogue, and I'm always on the run. With a fire inside, I ain't ever gonna die. I'm a locked and loaded gun. When the matches strike and the gasoline lights, it's only just begun. One thing I learned is you could watch it all burn, but the flame ain't ever done. Raise 'em up a little higher. Your lighters, outlaws and outsiders.
Some call me a renegade, the enemy. Throw your hands up if you feel the same. Oh, living life at the edge. Just say what you wanna say, or walk away. I'll stand tall when there's hell to pay. Ain't no power higher. We're the outlaws and outsiders. I was born in the dark with a fearless heart and a taste for the other side. I was a crazy ass kid, all the shit I did, I'm amazed that I'm still alive. They thought I'd change with a little bit of age, but you know I never will. Takes too much time to walk a straight line. I don't have time to kill.
Raise your fist up higher, you fighters, outlaws and outsiders.
Some call me a renegade, the enemy. Throw your hands up if you feel the same. Oh, living life at the edge. Just say what you wanna say, walk away. I'll stand tall when there's hell to pay. Ain't no power higher. We're the outlaws and outsiders.
Some call me a renegade, the enemy.
Throw your hands up if you feel the same. Oh, living life at the edge. Just say what you wanna say, walk away. I'll stand tall when there's hell to pay. Ain't no power higher. We're the outlaws and outsiders. Outlaws and outsiders. Oh, yeah.
Tonight on Freedom Media, we're talking gun bans. Tune in. It's going to be a hell of a show. Canadian firearms owners are some of the most respected people around in Canada. It's not the legal gun owners that you need to worry about. It's the criminals. Criminals don't follow rules. Criminals don't follow laws. That's why they're criminals. So why are you coming to take honest, law-abiding citizens' firearms that we have? As a licensed firearms owner, my name goes through the RCMP database every day to check and see if I've had any issues or warrants for my arrest or anything that warrants them to come and take my guns away. When's the last time you had a background check?
When it comes to guns, how do the US and Canada differ? Let's start with gun homicides. In Canada, guns killed 131 people in 2013. In the US, guns killed over 11,000 people in the same year. That's a rate 9 times higher than our neighbors to the north. And it's not like Canucks don't own guns. Canada ranks 13th in the world for rate of gun owners. The US ranks number 1. One thing Canada doesn't have, a powerful gun lobby like the NRA, which, in 2014, spent over $32 million on political spending. Then there's the gun laws. The ones up north are stricter and more complicated than in the US. In Canada, every single gun owner must be licensed. In the US, there is no federal license for gun owners. In Canada, you must register your semi-automatics and handguns with a government. In the US, there are more states that prohibit all gun registration than states that have a form of gun registration. In Canada, you can only carry a gun in public if it's for your occupation or, in limited cases, if you need it to protect your life. In the US, you can legally carry a concealed gun in every state and openly in most others, and in some places, you can do this without a permit. In Canada, background checks are done through a centralized database that has criminal information from each province. In the US, the FBI database is spotty, sometimes missing local criminal and mental health information. So, should Americans adopt the Canadian approach to guns?
You may think that increased gun violence is a uniquely American thing, but we did a little digging, and it's a growing problem right here at home. That's our weekly briefing. Canada has tougher gun laws and far fewer gun-related deaths than the U.S., but gun violence is increasing in Canada. The number of firearm-related homicides is up 44% from 155 in 2014 to 223 in 2016. Cities like Regina, Edmonton, and Toronto in particular have had spikes in gun crimes. And although we may compare well to the US, when we're compared to other OECD countries, we come in 8th in the number of people per capita killed by firearm. 27 OECD countries do better than us, with fewer violent deaths by firearm. It's not only gun homicides that have been on the rise here, there are also a lot more guns in the restricted category, like the AR-15 that was used in the Florida shooting. The number of restricted guns in Canada has more than doubled since 2005. The increase in restricted gun ownership for guns like the AR-15 may be partly due to the growth in shooting clubs. The Canadian Sports Shooting Association, CSSA, says its membership has been growing by about 2,000 a year to about 32,000 now. Joining me to discuss this is Tony Bernardo. He's Executive Director of the CSSA. So what did you think when you saw that, the shooting in Parkland, Florida, and people saying it's because of guns?
Well, I mean, first of all, the evil intentions in people's hearts are never about the inanimate objects they use to carry out the crime. But being a parent and a grandparent, horrified, absolutely horrified. I can't imagine anything worse for the poor people that have to live with us.
You're a gun owner. And
yeah, absolutely.
What do you think in the States in particular? I mean, the NRA is saying, no, that's not the issue.
I don't think that is the issue. I think we have to look at the root causes of why this happens. You know, when they flew airplanes into the World Trade Center, there wasn't a hue and cry to ban airplanes. You know, when the fertilizer and diesel fuel bomb blew up in Oklahoma City, there wasn't a hue and cry to ban farm fertilizer.
But there's so many guns in the States. You don't think that that's an issue?
I know. I really don't, because most of those guns, the vast majority of them, will never be used in any kind of crime at all.
So the head of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, has said what's needed is more guns in the hands of good guys to stop the bad guys. Do you agree with that as a goal?
Do you have a better idea?
You think more guns is the solution?
Do you have a better idea? Because right now, I mean, the U.S. Constitution expressly prohibits the banning of these types of firearms. It has been ruled by the Supreme Court of Canada of the United States more than once, that this is an individual right. In order to do this, you would have to change the Constitution.
So what about Canada then? Should there be fewer restrictions on what are now restricted guns, like the AR-15?
Well, you know, the AR-15 is a funny duck because it crosses a lot of different lines. There are some versions of the AR-15 that, were they brought into the country today, they would not be restricted firearms at all.
So an AR-15 should not be restricted here?
There are some versions of it that would be a restricted firearm, and there are some versions that would be prohibited.
Would you like to see fewer restrictions on guns here?
I think maybe the correct word might be different restrictions, not fewer. I think that's probably more to the point. Canada's got a patchwork of gun laws that were originally written by people who hadn't got a clue of what they were writing about. And over 25 years, these laws have been adapted to better suit what we have. But we still have, like, knots tied up inside the legislation that need to be fixed.
The type of gun that was used in the Florida shooting was an AR-15.
Yes.
That's a restricted
firearm. Yes.
Firearm here. But the number of those has doubled in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
Does that concern you?
No, not a bit. Not a bit.
You don't think more guns like that could potentially lead to more killings in Canada?
No, because the people who are buying these things are people who have restricted firearms licenses. You know, one of the things Canadians...
Well, in the States, a lot of them had licenses too.
Well, I can't speak for the States. You asked me about Canada.
But I don't think having a license prevents someone from using a gun to kill people.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we have them, isn't it? Isn't that why we have them? The RCMP checks every single firearms license in Canada once a day. It's a program called continuous eligibility, and a device called a computer rat goes through every police computer in Canada every day, checking every single person with a license.
The interesting thing I found that's changed in the last few years is the increase in people getting memberships at clubs that you're part of.
Huge.
It's taken off.
Huge.
So it's like sport shooting.
Absolutely. Every club in the GTA has got 200 and 300 people on the waiting
growing.
list.
Wow.
It's growing all the time. An awful lot of the demographic coming in are young women. About 40% of the new people entering into sport shooting are young women.
But that could also help explain why there are so many more restricted firearms available
Well, of course,
now.
that's the exact reason. Yeah, because the whole sport is growing. So there's more people that are coming into it than there are.
And to get a restricted license, you need to be a sports shooter.
That's right.
So I'm wondering, the gun manufacturers in the States are big backers of the NRA. Does your association get money from gun manufacturers?
No, we don't.
You would refuse it?
No, probably not. But you understand the Canadian manufacturing industry is very small. There's only a couple of factories in Canada.
So American manufacturers aren't interested in Canada?
Not a bit.
Will they be as it grows?
No.
Oh, so much to talk to you about, and we're out of time.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
we'll do it again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tony Bernardo.
It's one of the most revered and reviled rifles in the world. And now the AR-15 is in the crosshairs of Canada's polarized gun debate.
This is not an assault weapon. This is a semi-automatic rifle, no different than 100 others. And if this is gone, they'll come after the rest.
That are effective in keeping Canadians safe.
The Liberals have been telegraphing a so-called assault weapons ban for months. In response, one gun group tried to trigger a run on guns.
If you don't have an AR-15, even if you do, and you've got room in your budget, go get another one. Buy one, buy two, buy three, buy whatever you can. You let them know that Bill Blair sent you.
And this is the ubiquitous AR-15.
There are currently some 66,000 legally purchased AR-15s in the hands of Canadians. They are restricted, meaning you can't use them for hunting, only at gun ranges. And the gun lobby, groups representing 2.2 million Canadians with firearms licenses, have spent the summer mobilizing their members with a clear message.
Well, defeat the Liberals, yes, of course. Of course, and you know, bearing in mind that from our community's point of view, they desperately deserve to be defeated.
Do you think that the gun lobby has the power to make or break a government in Canada?
Yes, absolutely, without question.
After the École Polytechnique shooting in 1989, Heidi Rathjen brought petitions to Ottawa from 500,000 Canadians demanding a ban on so-called assault weapons. She says there's one reason It never happened.
If we were in a democracy, we'd have a ban on assault weapons a long time ago. It's not happening, and the only explanation is the strength of the gun lobby. The gun lobby is winning in the long run. It's getting worse.
Here with more on the subject. And Mark, the most recent poll, I mean, you look at Angus Reid's findings, suggesting 75% of Canadians support a ban on assault weapons. And so how much power does the gun lobby really have at the ballot box?
This is the political paradox. What appears to be a slam dunk isn't. Back in 1994, the Chrétien Liberals proposed an assault weapons ban along with the long gun registry. That was a political fiasco. The ban was scrapped, as was the long gun registry by the Harper Conservatives. A big win for the gun lobby. So now they were empowered. And they're also really intimidating the Liberals now, the Trudeau Liberals. There's a big divide within the party. Should they or shouldn't they? Because this is not a vote getter in rural Canada bringing in a ban, but they've decided to do it anyway. Still, the gun lobby is seizing upon this moment now, saying they have identified vulnerable Liberal ridings where they're going to motivate the vote to get out there and vote against gun control. This is a vote getter for the gun lobby. So they have a message for the Trudeau Liberals. See you on Election Day.
Mark, thanks very much.
Thanks.
Whether it's enhanced background checks or requiring sellers to check licenses of anyone who wants to buy a gun, we've invested over $327 million to address the gun and gang violence. We will continue to strengthen our gun laws by banning dangerous assault weapons and working with provinces, territories, and mayors to keep communities safe.
There you have Justin Trudeau again saying a whole lot of nothing while he's trying to talk about ways to deal with the guns and gangs problem. The government's real issue is they're focused on licensed, legal gun owners with rifles not used in crimes, when the real problem are gangsters with handguns smuggled across the border. Stats range from 80 to 84%. So how do we deal with this in an effective way? Well, instead of listening to Justin Trudeau, who wants to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on something that won't work, here's 5 easy steps that the government could do right now. And it starts with focusing on the border. At the Toronto Gun Summit, the Ontario government and police had numbers ranging from 80% to 84% of all guns used in crime coming across the border. But we're not focused on the border. In the government's most recent attempt at trying to say that they're putting money behind guns and gangs, only $86 million over 5 years went towards border problems. About $30 million of that went to the RCMP and about $50-odd million went to the actual Canadian Border Services Agency. That is clearly not enough. The guns are coming across. We need to find ways to stop them, whether that's investing in more people, more inspections, or more technology. We've got to get it done. Step number 2, change bail requirements. It was a story that was told just the other day by police about a guy who was arrested 6 times. He was on gun charges, given bail, and rearrested 6 different times before he got to trial. That is absolute lunacy. If you're caught with a gun, committing a crime, then you should actually have to prove why you should get bail. It shouldn't be automatic, and right now it is. Step number 3, focus on bail enforcement teams. You talk to police officers, regardless of where it is, they'll tell you it's the repeat offender. You want to stop the revolving door? You do 2 things. You change the bail requirements, like I just said, but you invest in bail enforcement teams. These are the guys that'll show up at your door at 2 in the afternoon. Oh, wait, you're not there? You're supposed to be at home as part of your bail conditions? Now they've got a reason to arrest you, violation of bail, put you back behind bars where you belong. Step 4, stop pleading gun charges away. Too often, you get people who are arrested on a whole series of charges and they plead down to the lowest common denominator. Some of these gun charges can result in up to 10 years in jail, and yet people are going to provincial jails, which means 2 years less a day is the maximum sentence they can get. That's not going to do anything. So those are the 4 immediate things you can do. And then long term, yes, invest in diversion and social programs. But that takes a long time, and that's a long plan operation. That's not going to deal with the problem immediately. Focus on the first 4 steps while investing in the 5th for long-term results. That would be far more effective than anything Justin Trudeau is promising to do in banning rifles that simply aren't used in crimes in Canada.
This is an assault rifle. This is a piece of metal. This is a firearm. It is the same metal with a few holes drilled in it, making it capable of fitting this trigger. Together, they look like this assembly, which still cannot shoot until you add a barrel and a piece of wood, which are assembled to create this very common rifle, reminiscent of something your grandfather might have kept by the back door. But suppose you wanted to use plastic instead of wood. You strip the gun down to the initial firearm and add this plastic to create this assault rifle, designated as such due to the use of a pistol grip and a telescoping stock. The action of these guns is identical. They both shoot at the exact same rate, which is 1 shot for each pull of the trigger. They each shoot the same ammunition, which is the ubiquitous .22 long rifle. This bullet is commonly described as a planking round for use in safety target practice. It is similar in size to common pellets found in air guns, but much smaller than the common 7.62 millimeter rounds used by hunters and the military. It certainly uses a much smaller shell for propulsion. As with most semi-automatic firearms, the ammunition is lined up and fed into a piece of plastic containing a spring, which is called a magazine. The magazine is inserted into the firearm, and in this case, both the wood rifle and so-called assault rifle use the same magazine. Some also choose to attach various widgets to their guns, such as a bipod and sights, to create a truly fearsome-looking assault rifle. Yet this gun still uses identical action to the wood gun. If you are asking yourself why someone might dress their gun in black, consider this common sedan. Compare it to this dressed-up sedan. Both vehicles may use the same engine, same gas, and fit the same number of passengers. The difference is essentially aesthetic. Both guns use the same action, same ammunition, and fit the same magazines. Without reference to the law, most people may conjure an image of this M60 as an assault rifle. It is a belt-fed, fully automatic machine gun used by the military. However, it is now rarely used by foot soldiers as its tremendous weight is burdensome for most anyone who isn't Rambo. Considering the M60 to be similar to this .22 is like comparing this sedan to this dragster. By United States law, this is an assault rifle. Just as the look of this gun is purely aesthetic, so is the use of the modifying word assault.
Hey there friends, thanks for checking in. In this video, I'm going to explain the difference between an actual AR-15 and an assault weapon or assault rifle. Many people are confused about this because they watch the news, they hear our politicians or various news outlets refer to this as an assault rifle. And one of the reasons is because they say the AR stands for assault rifle, or they say it's an automatic rifle, neither of which are true. AR actually stands for Armalite Rifle, which is the first company that produced these in the late 1950s. The NRA calls AR America's rifle because this is by far the most popular choice of rifle by millions of Americans out there. Some of the reasons for that is that it's great for target practice, sport shooting. It's very much customizable. You can see I have a flat dark finish on this, and you can make it fit your personality. There are just so many modifications you could do to customize it and make it all yours. But the main difference between this and an assault rifle, or they also say military style rifle, is that although they do look alike, they are very different. And the main difference that the AR-15 is with an actual assault rifle is the select fire capabilities. And what I mean by that is when I shoot this AR-15, I have to pull the trigger each and every time to fire a shot. People don't understand that. They think that I can just pull this trigger and that it will continuously fire, and that is completely false. It has a safety and a fire indicator right here, which allows me to keep it on safe or fire if I so choose. An actual assault rifle is not obtainable by the average American. The reason why an actual assault rifle is not easily obtained by many Americans is because of this, and I'll say this in basic terms. You have to fill out a lot of paperwork, spend a lot of money, and wait a long time for the ATF to approve that one individual. Although they look alike, the process is very different and the action is very different. With this semi-auto AR-15, I can fire the gun each and every time I pull the trigger. I get one shot per one trigger pull. The assault weapon or assault rifle offers select fire capabilities. So like this that has safe and fire, an actual assault rifle has safe, fire, and full auto. It is very different. Now I have an example of this using an FN M16A4. Check it out.
We have an FN M16A4. One thing that makes this different, see there, we have the safe, semi, and the burst. Many of you may know this, but the burst is a 3-shot consecutive shot.
Did you see the differences between that M16A4 and a semi-auto rifle? That had select fire capabilities. It offered a safe, a semi-auto, and a 3-shot burst. That was military issued. A civilian cannot get that rifle. An AR-15 does not offer those capabilities, making the two rifles very different. So don't be confused. By definition, an assault rifle offers select fire capabilities, which offers continuous fire with one trigger pull. This AR-15 will not allow that. So as the media and as politicians demonize America's favorite rifle, I hope now you have a better understanding of why so many Americans love this setup. The AR-15 is safe, it's customizable, it's great for sport shooting, self-defense, training. People love it, and it really is America's rifle. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and share. I always appreciate the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and you guys be safe.
You equate criminals with gun culture, that somehow gun culture is a subset of criminal activity. It's not. We are the best Canadians, hands down. When's the last time you had a background check?
Gun culture. Events south of the border have had a lot of people talking about it recently. And tonight you'll meet an Ontario gun owner on a mission to educate Canadians about this country's gun culture, one he believes is under threat from those who simply don't understand firearms or their owners. And he wants to bring Canada's culture out of the shadows. The National's Mick Purdon has never fired a gun, so we sent him off to the shooting range.
Everybody got the bullets? You may pick up a rifle. Prove that rifle to be safe. You may take that rifle to the line.
Friday evening at the East Elgin Sportsman Club near London, Ontario. I've been invited here to witness something that in Canada usually stays hidden, the culture of guns. John Evers runs things here. He admits not everyone in his club wanted us around. But he believes if gun owners stay hidden, their culture, as he puts it, won't survive.
I have the right to be here. I have the right to have my guns. My culture's at stake. They want me gone.
The they who want him gone, Evers tells me, is pretty much everyone in Canada who doesn't own a gun. And so one of the things he does is try to convert people.
So you're letting me shoot your favorite gun?
Correct. This is my pride and joy.
For Evers, you're either with him or you're against him. You love guns or they're a 4-letter word. But here's the thing. If we're honest with ourselves, that's how most of us think. With guns, there's no middle ground.
I got to admit, sitting here in front of all these handguns, it makes me slightly uneasy. Like I've never actually touched a gun before.
Correct. But the why, and again we're going to...
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Because you have no experience. You put it in the
Well,
in
they're
your
also
statement.
designed to shoot living things.
Designed to know. They're designed to shoot. Full stop.
Yeah.
There it is, right off the bat, the age-old guns don't kill people, people kill people argument. But I've come here to try to get beyond that.
Explain gun culture. This is my culture.
When you say gun culture, you don't think of me. You think of the gangbangers in Jane and Finch. You think of criminals, and you equate criminals with gun culture, that somehow gun culture is a subset of criminal activity. It's not. We are the best Canadians, hands down. When's the last time you had a background check? Mine was this morning. Before that, yesterday. Before that, the day before. I get a background check every day. When was your last one? How do I trust you? We're not the criminals. You could be. Ever think of that?
I get it. Evers feels persecuted, his whole culture discriminated against. And his point about the background checks? Well, it is true every day an RCMP computer runs the names of gun owners to see if they've committed a crime.
So what's in here?
That's our handguns.
They're all in there?
They're all in there.
In here?
Range here. Yep.
When you're treated like that, Evers tells me, the shooting range becomes a sanctuary.
My family grew up here. My son's been here since he was 5 years old. And my daughter was 8.
Marissa is now 22 and at university, and today Dad is going to help her with her technique before she heads off to class.
Are you ready? Stand by. Beep. You start up firm, and then you got way too much knee. Way too much knee. So it's like that, okay?
It's passing on that passion. It's spending quality time with your daughter in a one-on-one at a sport you enjoy and she enjoys.
But for Marissa, it's not that simple. She tells me she pays a price for her sport.
I have guns, I don't have friends.
What do you mean you have guns but you don't have friends?
People do not want to be my friend because I shoot guns. I am a firearms enthusiast. And people, especially now that I've gone to university, want nothing to do with me because they're afraid of what I do. If I have to postpone telling somebody that I shoot in order to get them to see that I'm a good person, I'll postpone telling them I shoot because I need them to know I'm a good person, that I'm not going to hurt them, that I'm not going to do anything that's crazy or insane.
Are you ready? Stand by. Beep.
It turns out Marissa's dad had no idea she felt that way.
It's like porpoise, but it's like she's kept a secret from me that she was hurting and not telling me that she was hurting. And she was hurting because of the reality that I brought her up in. If she were brought up in any other family, if she were a child of soccer parents or hockey parents, she would not be feeling like that, would she? So there's some guilt in my mind. It also invigorates me to change that reality.
Both father and daughter tell me that every time there is gun violence in Canada or the United States, they brace themselves.
When Sandy Hook occurred, obviously I was sad and distraught over the tragedy itself. But for me, there's a secondary aspect to it. Because you just wait, because here it comes. They're coming after me now. Because of that, they'll come after me. On a personal level, I am often hated, gun owners are hated and derided because they have guns.
Well, what are these to you? Still, with Evers' guns spread out in front of me, it's hard not to remember Adam Lanza. The Sandy Hook elementary school shooter got his weapons from his mother, who was a gun collector.
Adam Lanza was mentally ill. And that is why that occurred. The mental illness is why that occurred, not the gun control.
But if there were no guns, then he couldn't have shot.
If there are no guns, how do you create that? The genie's out of the bottle.
And even here in Canada, it might surprise you just how much. While nobody knows exactly how many guns there are in the country, the RCMP puts the total somewhere around 8 million. That ranks us 12th in the world. As Canadians, we think guns are purely an American obsession. Not true. Exhibit A. Evers' Gun Club is just one of hundreds in the country, and this place is growing. In the last 10 years, membership has more than tripled to 700 people. Why? In part by going after the kids. Friday night is pizza and target shooting.
Why don't you play hockey?
Oh, this is better.
How?
Because you can get to shoot things.
Darlene Allen has 2 little girls in the gun club. Her point is that shooting is actually safer than other sports. But she also knows that most people don't get it.
Always the adrenaline, the violence, the anger that there comes with shooting when you see it in a movie or something. But this isn't the type of shooting we're talking about, right? We're not talking about taking it out on somebody, taking out your anger. We're talking about letting your anger go and trying to do something and hit a target and be precise.
But it's not just in movies where guns kill people. It's in real life. Just down the road from here in Toronto, 4 kids have been shot and killed since the new year. But for gun lovers, it seems sometimes the connections are hard to see. For example, the gun used to kill the children at Sandy Hook Elementary in Connecticut, the AR-15, is the same gun Evers uses in his competitions.
So Adam Lanza used a gun like that, is that right?
Correct.
to shoot the kids.
Correct.
Does that change this gun when you hold it at all? To know that it...
No. A drunk driver last week killed someone with a Honda Accord. Do Honda Accord drivers feel different because he used a Honda Accord? Of course not. It's a Honda Accord. This is an AR-15. It's the user. It's the Adam Lanzas you need to worry about, not the John Evers. For me, I have fond memories of this. I'll be using this in Pennsylvania for a 3-man, 3-gun competition in April. And I'm going to have fun. Remember, relax. You want to be relaxed.
And there it is, the big disconnect for so many people. Enjoying guns.
Your finger on the trigger now.
How does that work? Well, I'm about to find out.
You really are trying to convert me.
Absolutely. I'm trying to educate you. If education's conversion, that's great. Look at that. That is fairly impressive, actually. I'd say of the people I've taught to shoot, you would be in the top 10. I'd hoped you were worse.
We move on to a more powerful gun, one you've probably heard of, the .357 Magnum. Gun lovers will tell you this is one that gets people hooked.
Yep, there you go. Bit more? And that's actually a medium load for that. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's tiring on the arms.
Yeah, exactly. It's a heavy gun.
You feel like you can't hear the smell. It's like surge of violent power.
It's sort of power. There's no violence. Experience. You need more.
After an hour of shooting, I'd had enough. I didn't convert. But I'm just one of many that Evers has worked on. He tells me no matter where he is, he's, well, preaching. Even the other day when he stopped to help a stranger change a tire on the side of the highway.
She offered to pay me money. And again, that's not right. I'm doing it because I'm a nice guy. So all I did was turn to her and say, no money required. Just know that a handgun owner was nice to you today. I wanted to know that I'm a nice guy and gun owners are nice people and move on from there.
You feel that downtrodden?
Yes. I feel that victimized, I guess, is where it comes from. That I'll fight back in any little way I can. And it comes back to one mind at a time. If that's what it takes, I'll do it. I'll go door to door across Canada if need be to say, hi, I'm John, I'm a gun owner, I'm a nice guy. Give me a chance.
I'm not sure that's going to work in a country so distrustful of guns. But I give Evers credit for stepping out of the shadows. Nick Purdon, CBC News, London, Ontario.
If you're not familiar with firearms regulations in this country, you may be wondering about the rules for children. Minors can be licensed to shoot at a gun club or to hunt, but they don't have to be, so long as they're under the direct and immediate supervision of someone who is.
So now we got a Trudeau Liberal government trying to take our guns away, boys and girls. Are we going to put up with that crap? Dictating without actually putting it through any kind of Senate? I don't think so. We don't have the Second Amendment, but we do still want to keep our rights. Think about it. When the time comes, we got to stand our ground if you want to keep your guns.